Everybody, welcome back. Saturday shop day. I don't know what I'm going to get done today. We made it back from St. Louis Monday about 4 o'clock. It was a brutal long trip. I spent the next 2 days in bed with 102 fever, and finally made it back to the shop Thursday for most of the day, yesterday all day, and now I'm back here today. So I'm beat, I'm tired. I don't know what I'm going to get done today, but I got the 24-hour bike build here still on the lift. A little bit of wiring left to do. I thought, well, that's something easy enough. I can sit in the chair and do it. So we'll see how much I can get done, how much energy I have. It's been a long week. I'm ready to just rest and get back to it next week. So anyway, that's what we're doing. Please check out our Cycle Showcase video released this morning, or maybe yesterday by the time this video gets up. Not a real long video, just kind of a quick little thing, but shows our unveils of my bike, Tom's bike, and Frank and Mike's bike from Pedro and Betty's big revival. And that's it. I'm gonna get a little wiring done here. Got to get this wiring video finished up for Nick at the AB Pod. He's tired of waiting. Alright, so we got a new roll of wire loom. So first thing I'm going to do is get these wires loomed up that are for the pulse generators in the motor. So once we get these loomed up, then we can get them routed over here and get the engine connected. Alright, so we got the wires run here. We'll put a little tab on the motor bolt or something to hold that in place. And then we got our 4 wires. So I'm going to go ahead and get these snipped back. When you're going to solder a bunch of wires together, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this here on the channel before or not, but if you cut the wires staggered like this, then when you solder your wires together, all the solder joints will be slightly staggered, and that gives you a tighter, compact thing instead of having 4 joints lined right up with one another that kind of make it bulky. So anyway, just a little tip that I like to try and use to keep the wire cleaned up a little bit. Alright, so let's see, we'll start. We gotta find our pair of these, which looks like this. I can tell kind of by the age of the wire. What I'm gonna do though is, before I start soldering these, I'm gonna cut another piece of loom, slip it over the top of all this, kind of out of the way, so that then we can drag it out along and have a complete covered loom, which is probably going to be a pain in the ass. Let's see, we'll slide this back. I should have did this before I stripped these wires. I think I'm going to have to cut these off. You cannot put this mesh on over a set of wires that's been stripped like that, because all the little pieces of copper catch on the holes in the mesh. So no big deal, we got plenty of length here. So this is the kind of annoying thing about working with this stuff, is getting everything in it and then getting the right length but having enough room to do your wiring and all that. So anyway, this will work for now. We'll leave we got this white. I'm going to put a little zip tie back here that'll hold this loom out of our way while we're working. And now we can start doing our wire terminations. So we got the white and the yellow, that's a pair. We got blue and gray, that's a pair for us here. So we'll do this. We'll do this. And then we're going to find our white and yellow. This is just a matter of matching up your wires and soldering and heat shrinking everything up. Nothing crazy here. Alright, so we got our loom all loomed up, heat shrink done. Got this tucked in here for now. We'll get that tied in more securely with some frame clamps or something here once we get everything else buttoned up. But that portion is done. I think our ignition switch came that I ordered. Nicole just went in the back. I'll have to ask her what she did with that. We're going to have to drill the frame here, and we'll keep on rolling. Alright, so the last of our wires we got coming out of the electrics box are ground wires. So those will get grounded when we bolt the starter solenoid on to the frame, which I need to paint black before I can do that. So I'll try and get that painted up. Then we got to make a couple of battery cables, and we need to pop another hole and do our stator wires. So I'm going to go grab a drill and see if we can't get that sorted out, the stator wires sorted out. Not see if we can't, it's very easy. We're going to make a couple wires and solder them up, and then drill a hole for our ignition switch as soon as I figure out where I put that when it came in. So I'm going to grab some stuff. We'll come back and continue on with this wiring. Doesn't matter. Alright, so this is our stator wires here. We got 3 yellows. Gonna get rid of this plug. I'm not a big fan of these types of plugs. They collect moisture and usually end up causing a short. So I'm gonna route this through the motor mount right here and slip it into our electronics box, which we have drilled and put a grommet in, and then we're going to solder up these 3 wires. Pretty simple stuff. These wires do not matter which one goes to which, so you don't have to worry about that. Just connect all 3 yellows, one to each of the yellows on the regulator. Sometimes these wires will be white depending on your stator or whatever, but again, it does not matter which is which. Just connect one to each of the yellows off your regulator and you're good to go. Yeah, Matt probably turned it off. Alright guys, well, we got our switch mounted, got a little bit of wiring done today, obviously not really very much at all. Anyway, not a very productive day. Honestly, I know it's barely even worth a video, but I'll probably try and scrape one together with what we did today, and we'll get this finished up probably one more day, I guess. I just don't have enough energy. All right, everybody. Saturday's video really was too short. You've just watched it wrap up, and we didn't get a ton done. So anyway, I'm back here. It's Monday morning, and we're going to try and complete this wiring. So this will be added into that. You'll see it as one video. So anyway, not a ton left to do. First thing we're going to do is get the headlight wiring run. So this is real simple stuff. The complicated part on these shadows is the ICM wiring, which you saw in part 1. This is standard light wiring stuff. I'm not running a high-low switch, so we're going to have 2 wires. Switch 12 volt and a ground. They'll run down the frame back to the electronics box, and that's basically it. This is one of the things that sucks about this this mesh loom. There's really no fast way to install it when you have a long run of wire like this, which the headlight wire is kind of extra long because of the high neck. But anyway, that's just kind of the downside to it, but I still really like it over most everything else. So we continue to use it even though it's a little bit of a hassle. Alright, and then once you get the end out, it makes it a little bit easier. So we're getting this routed all through our frame. We had a couple. Again, if we were building a really super show bike, we would have drilled the frame for all this, but we use this machined down tube stuff, which is solid, so running down those down tubes isn't really feasible. We could have run it down the backbone, but just not doing all that on this particular build. So get this all pulled through. We'll route this with our pulse generator wires that we did on Saturday. When these get all tied to the frame, we'll tie everything together. That's kind of why I wait until the end, because no need to tie stuff a bunch of times. So anyway, those will kind of route right here, and everything will get cleaned up, and we got our wires back here where we need them. Alright, so out of our headlight harness here, I pulled our ground. So this can route over here with all these other wires that are grounds. So we can get those all hooked up at the same time. And then the switched power wire is going to run out here and run up to our coil, because that's where we're going to have our switched power out of our ignition switch, which will run up the other side of the frame. This is where we're going to start to get everything kind of figured out and terminated. So again, this stuff will all get tied up nice and neat. This is our main ground wire, which will go through a hole in the box we're going to make here in a minute. All this will get tied together into a ground before we're all said and done. But it really is relatively simple to wire these bikes. Just have to take your time and you know, break all the circuits down into individual circuits. That way you're not trying to think about how you're going to wire everything, because you're really not wiring everything. You're wiring one little thing at a time. So that kind of helps make the the job a little less daunting is just wire one circuit at a time. The other good thing about that is if you then have a circuit that doesn't work, it's a lot easier to go back and find what's causing it not to work than having to think about the, you know, big mass of things you just did. No, it's like, okay, my taillight's not working, let's go look at the taillight circuit, which I know I did a certain way. So breaking it into little pieces is something that's really helpful. Alright, so jumped over here to the other side of the bike where we've got our ignition switch. So this is going to be our jumper wire here and our ignition on off, which is going to power everything on the bike. So this wire goes into our battery box, which will pick up the battery power, and then this wire is going to run up our down tube. It's not quite long enough, so we're going to have to extend this wire. Excuse me. And then we'll have our main switch powering our coils, powering our other our headlight wire and our ICM wire, which again we mentioned a little while ago. The headlight wire will snip and tie into for the tail light also as the final circuit that we install on this build. So we got our switch mounted on Saturday, and I just need a piece of wire to extend this, and we'll get this last side hooked up on the coils. Alright, so we got our coils completed. We got our on-off switch with our switch power into all our wires. So the last two things we have are the starter solenoid and the taillight wires. So the starter solenoid, I got to drill a couple of holes in the mount we made for the electronics box and then mount that up. And I still got to figure out where we're going to put the start button, which I still have not decided. Can't really come up with anywhere I like, so I'm still playing with that a little bit. So it's looking like this is going to be one more video on this bike. So I hope you guys don't mind. I hope you can find some enjoyment in this. I hope you're learning something about wiring. I know it's getting a little bit of a scattered video. Anyway, hopefully some of you guys can follow along with some of my scattered stuff and learn something, or not, and just enjoy it. So we got our starter solenoid here. I'm just going to black it out so it'll kind of blend in a little bit better. Just quick taped up the terminals, and gonna give it a little black low gloss engine paint, so when it mounts down into the black frame it'll kind of just blend away. Originally I had planned to put this inside the electronics box, but kind of got a little tight in there, and so decided this was a better way to go. So see, we just got that blacked out, no big deal. We'll let that dry, and when we come back next time we'll be able to wire this up. Alright, one more thing we get done today is get our electronics box drilled for our ground cable to come through. We'll put a new copper end on here. And we got a nice ground strap, which runs over to our motor. So cable end, which will crimp on here, and then we're going to have to do the same for the starter cable, but I don't know exactly where we want to poke that out yet until we get our solenoid mounted, so we'll leave that until it dries. Alright, well, somehow we managed to have the wrong banjo bolt brake light switch, but that's alright because we weren't planning to finish today anyway, but you get the idea what's happening here. We're going to have the brake line and the brake light switch. They'll both run together. They'll run down the brake stay rod to the frame, and the brake light switch wiring will terminate here at the electronics box, and the brake light or the brake line will continue on down the frame all the way up to the handlebars, where we will get that plumbed and bled and have our brakes and a functioning brake light switch. Alright guys, that's going to be a wrap for today. Apologies for not getting this done like I had planned, and but you know, it is what it is. So we should have it wrapped up next week, although I guess I said that last week, so who the hell knows. A lot of hecticness going on around the shop, so it might even be a few weeks before we get back on this, just depending on what all goes on. So as always, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Please, you're going to want to catch our latest updates. We got some information coming. We are going to give a third and final try to the giveaway bike. I really want to get this thing given away. I'm working on trying to figure out the best way to do it. Obviously, we want it to benefit our channel, so we need it to benefit us in order to do it. It's, you know, simple business stuff. But so stick around for that, please. If you're interested in winning a bike, it will not be a raffle. It will not be a you buy this. It will be a straight giveaway. You do nothing that costs you any money. You will have to do something for us to help us expose the channel and whatever that may be, but you do not have to spend a dime to have a chance to win. So we've tried this a couple times before with no luck. We're going to give it one third and final try. If that doesn't work, I don't know, I guess I'm going to keep the bike, so, which I don't really want. I got enough bikes. I'm actually getting ready to start clearing out a bunch of bikes because I just have too much stuff, and sometimes stuff turns into clutter, and clutter turns into chaos for your mind. So anyway, I will quit rambling, let you guys get out of here. If anybody has actually watched all this all the way to the end, I appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time at Gattis Garage.